we grew a lot from that experience, knowing that if that was how it was going to be going forward and if money was the bottom line, that we were not going to do it. We were not going to continue that. So that meant that our systems and processes for any other future investments were going to have to be different.
Welcome to Our Family Invests, the podcast where successful couples come together to share their inspiring stories of balancing family, life, and business. We're Mike and Caroline Neubauer, husband and wife entrepreneurs striving to live our best lives with our family at the center. This podcast celebrates the couples who inspire us, invest in each other, and raise those around them to the next level. Join us as we explore their challenges and victories. Let's learn, share, and grow together. All right, welcome, Caroline Neubauer, to the Our Family Invests podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here today. And this is actually the second, third, maybe even the fourth time we've tried to record this one, doing all kinds of little mock cast things. But we just tried to record this episode about 20 minutes ago, and the audio never stayed recording, right? So like we got the video, but we're just going to be mimes. So we're going to try this again. And hopefully take two, and hopefully the audio will stay connected the whole way through. All right, we are still learning here.
Otherwise, we are just going to learn about you.
No, we're not going to do that. All right, I know your story very well, right? But I think a lot of our audience, even some of our closest friends, don't really know your origin story as well as they should, because it's a super cool story.
I know, you do think this is cool.
I do. I mean, it's just super interesting. Maybe not super cool, right? But let's take me back, because I think most people that know you're an island girl, you know, growing up on the beaches here in Maui. But that's not the full story, right? Take me back to Taiwan and tell us how you got started and how you got here to Maui.
Okay, so that is way back.
Way back.
Way back. Okay, maybe not that back. But yes, I was born in Taiwan. I was born to parents with polio who couldn't hold me. My birth father was an alcoholic and a gambler. My birth grandmother had raised my two older sisters and said no to raising me. And long story short, I was going to be sold. A missionary knew my parents, who was very close to my sisters and my birth mother. She reached out to my parents in Vancouver at the time to see if they would adopt me. And they said yes. And 4 months later, made it to Vancouver.
Okay, so wait, hold on. There's a part in there that we got to back up and unpack a little bit. You were going to be sold. Correct. So you grew up knowing that you were going to the black market. You were going to be sold into slavery. Like,
yes.
What family sells their kid to the black market?
Apparently a lot.
Well,
no. Okay, but to put that into perspective, that was what I was told until I met my birth mother.
Who told you this, by the way?
My sister.
Of course she did.
So my middle
right?
sister. So until I met my birth mother and birth grandmother, who was going to sell me. This was right before I got married. I was engaged. She cleared the air and said that it wasn't to the black market, that it was to a family with 5 boys.
Okay, so it was someone else in Taiwan.
To better my life.
Okay, to give you a better chance of upgrading.
So that was a good closure.
Yeah.
Peace of mind.
Wow. Okay, so parents had polio. Yeah. They couldn't hold you. Mm-hmm. Your father was an alcoholic. You never met him.
I did not.
Okay. So you get to Canada then when you're how old?
Seattle, 4 months, and then I went to Vancouver right after that.
Okay. So, and then you grew up in Vancouver half-time and then Maui half-time for your whole life.
Yeah.
Right? What an amazing couple places to call home, right?
Yes.
So how did that work?
My parents were snowbirds. They could stay for 180 days, so we just commuted back and forth. My parents were also a lot older when they adopted me, so they were retired, semi-retired, and so they had the flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Wow, that's awesome, right? Like what a cool way to grow up, I think.
There are definitely worse ways to grow up.
So, okay, so did you ever make it back to Taiwan? And how did you end up connecting with your sisters?
Yes. So I did meet my birth mother and grandmother with my oldest sister, with you actually, was the first time I had seen them since I got left at the airport. And so that was a very emotional experience. How I met my older sisters, I prayed when I was 12 that I could meet them, and my oldest sister Esther got sent to Canada while I was in Maui for a year for work. So the missionary reached out to my parents to see if we'd be interested, and that was a week later after praying about it. Met her, spent a good chunk of the year with her. She came out to Maui, spent Christmas with us. Then I met my middle sister, Amy. She is a go-getter. She was jealous that my oldest sister had met me and she hadn't. So she came out with a senior citizens tour group to Vancouver and got to meet her the following year.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So that is pretty cool. And then you've been in touch with them ever since, right?
And the first time the three of us were together since they had left me at the airport was at my wedding on Lanai.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I met you, you were still in school. You were 18 years old.
Right.
And I mean, I fell in love with you right away. But one of the things that made me fall in love with you was the fact that you were just like so full of life and so in the moment. Like I always remember you being like this just beach girl, right? Like playing in tide pools and like just wanting to frolic in the
Adventure.
sand.
I liked adventures.
Adventuring and all that stuff. So now, today, you are a very successful real estate agent, right? I know you've done over $12 million in transactions last year, and you're on pace to you know do better than that, hopefully this year.
Mhm.
So how did you make that transition? And what role does your family play in making that transition?
Having Nico was probably the most pivotal point of change because I was responsible for another human and really took that responsibility and that honor very seriously. And I was super excited to show him experiences and teach him things. Um, did not take that responsibility lightly. Going into the agent side, that came through our investments and through the hands on investing tactics that we had in place up until that point, which was a couple years in, maybe 3 or 4 years in. And we both were supposed to get our license for our deals. And then someone abandoned me, not mentioning any names, and kind of grew it from there.
Yeah. So it was right around that time when Nico was born, I think, that we just decided to go all in, both of us, right?
To real estate.
So I was more of the acquisition side, the management side, the investing side, and you went into the real estate sales and agent side of things, right? And so I think it was interesting because when you came into real estate from on the agency side, you already had a foundation in the investing side. And I think that that's a really unique perspective that a lot of agents don't have. So even though a lot of people will say that they're investor friendly, they don't
Sure.
necessarily know what that means.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes with hands-on knowledge versus read knowledge.
Yeah.
And so thankfully we had gone through those experiences, so I just had a different set of eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
That definitely gave me an edge.
yeah. So the agency side is something where, you kind of grew into this when Nico was born because, you know,
After he was born.
after he
Yeah,
was
so
born.
I mean, we were doing our hands-on self-management, renovations,
Yeah, I guess it was a
all
couple
of
years.
that was quite
Yeah.
a few years in, and so I did get to be full-time stay-at-home mom. It's all blurring together now, isn't it?
Is.
And it was 4 years, 5 years after he was born.
Wow.
So it was when he was already starting school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to taste the entrepreneur, the mom and pop business side, the agent side, but also still maintain being priority as a mom.
Love it. All right. So I'm going to think about how I ask this next question. So for the next question I'm going to ask you, or the next set of questions, I should say,
Okay.
you don't look at me as your husband. Okay. Pretend like I am your favorite podcast host. I'm Mel Robbins. Okay.
Hi, Mel.
And I want you to tell me about your husband, okay? And you can be open and honest and tell me everything, all the pretty little details about why you love him, how you guys met, and what he brings to your life into what you're doing on your real estate journey.
That's a lot packed into one question.
We have all day, baby.
Thanks, Mel. That's a little much. Okay, so how did we meet? We met on Wailea Beach in a canoe. At that moment, I knew he was not the one. And we became the best of friends for over a year, not holding hands, just getting to know each other, surfing, hiking, watching movies on Netflix discs, writing on MySpace, which is that even around anymore?
No idea.
Probably not. And having deep philosophical questions and just getting to know the core of each other, but also challenge each other. So that was a big year. We were practically inseparable, but simply platonic, completely friends. And so after that, I think we both realized that we were at the stage where maybe we could see a future with each other. I think he saw that from day one, but both of us came together at that point. And then 2 days later, we looked at rings, and that's almost 17 years later.
Wow.
So
do you think that you changed him, or did he change you, or how did that all work?
I think we both evolved as people. I think our upbringings matched with our independence, coming together and having those foundational building conversations. We had some really tough conversations, but it was at an equal playground. And so I think going through that grew us in really great ways where we weren't the same the year before.
Yeah, how similar are you guys now to how you were when you met how many years ago?
I think we've definitely evolved. I think we have a lot more life experience, which is natural. I think we've done a lot together and learned what works for us, what doesn't. And we've gone through the highs and lows, which will continue to come. But I think we've worked together to understand each other and be a more unified team.
Yeah.
So I would say we still have the core of us. I still love the beach in us, but we also have changed as people for the better.
What do you love about Mike?
Oh, his nose.
Wow.
No, I love, sorry, I'm just
It's quite
thinking.
large. Some people
I
do like
love,
that.
okay, Mel, it's my turn. I love the conversations we have. I love when we're on the same page and just the fire that we can bring to what we do, what we want to achieve. That energy is contagious, and so I love when we're in those stages. I love how great and hands-on you are as a dad and how much you strive to have Nico learn and be a great human, because I think that's so important. And I love how supportive you are and visionary for our family because I think that you're a good driver and I am a really good support. And sometimes that changes, but I do really appreciate that.
Oh, I'm blushing. I have no words.
Hey family, real quick. If you would prefer to watch your content, head on over to Our Family Invests on YouTube. You can watch this podcast and more over there. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that little bell icon too to make sure you never miss an episode. And now, back to the show.
All right, let's change subjects then before I start crying. Tell me about when you first started investing. What kind of challenges did you have on that journey?
So many. I'll just pick one example would be our first short-term rental. We did not know what we were doing. We were learning as we went. We had a cat urinated condo that we were going to envision what it could be, the potential, and get it there within a certain amount of time while leveraging all of our funds and savings. So I think that experience taught us a lot. Thankfully, he didn't get electrocuted. much.
A few times.
We grew a lot from that experience, knowing that if that was how it was going to be going forward, and if money was the bottom line, that we were not going to do it. We were not going to continue that. So that meant that our systems and processes for any other future investments were going to have to be different.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like you wanted to just throw in the towel?
Yeah, that would have been the time.
That would have been
At the end of that. I mean, we were down to the wire. We had guests checking in and we had caulk drying, and maybe some paint. So that was, I mean, it's funny now and it's a good thing to reflect on. But at the time, that was awful. And we came through it and actually just sold it this past year.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
When did you know you were on the other side of those challenges? Like, when did you see, like, oh, it's downhill from here?
Downhill. I think we saw the value of what it could change in the trajectory of our lives and our opportunities and get us closer to where we wanted to be as a lifestyle as well. And so that just made it worth the efforts, but we needed to clean up those efforts because
Yeah.
our why was what we were doing this for, and we wanted our family to be thriving and not at conflict. And so I think, I mean, there is that saying, if couples can go through renovations, then they probably have a lasting relationship. And I definitely believe that. It could go either way.
Yeah, definitely could. It's definitely a lot of challenges there.
Yeah.
All right. So now, fast forward to where we're at today, right?
Mhm.
You are a successful real estate agent. You're building a team. You've got these ambitions. I'm in another lane. I'm building this podcast, and I'm more on the investing side of things. Um, how do you stay motivated, and how do you guys motivate each other?
I stay motivated by the people supporting me, like you, Nico. Right before this recording, I told Nico, "Do you think that I'm going to do a good job on my podcast?" He's like, "If you believe that you're going to do a good job, you're going to do a good job." And I feel like, did we tell him that, or did he come up with that, or did he just like soak that up? So that was a great
He's
circle
a
moment.
sponge, and we don't even understand
Realize,
that.
yeah,
Right?
like, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
So, I think the motivation comes from my family. It comes from seeing the potential of where our family can go and the amount of impact we can make. So that excites me. And then people that just believe in you, that are seeing things in you that you don't see at this very moment. That's super cool. So that motivates me.
What do you love about Nico?
I love that he is our glue. Every holiday and event is so much more fun with kids, in my perspective. I love seeing him light up, get excited, learn new things, be excited for simple things, and just like get us back to basics sometimes. And I love how fun he is.
Yeah. How do you separate work from life and from family time?
Yeah, sometimes that's difficult, but mostly we have habits and boundaries in place that make that happen. So we have parameters on time. So when mealtime comes, it's like after for dinner, it's family, it's outside time, it's movie time, it's game time. It's basically the rest of the evening is family related. We pray together, we eat meals together, we do bedtime together. And so just having those habits in place help us stay connected as a family and have a good grounding for us.
Yes, you have a lot of structure around your family time,
Yes.
right? So work ends at a certain time, it starts at a certain time, and that's that, right? I love that. So you're not 24/7 going, right? What about your investment strategy? What does your investment strategy look like?
Well, we are diversified, so we were heavy into short-term rentals. Now we're in short-term rentals, long-term developmental project, lifestyle build, that's new, and syndications. We're in some passive investments. Of course, we have stocks and things like that. But I think right now we're moving to be more passive, and I am taking more of a role with the real estate agency side of business, and you're handling a lot more of our investments and our investment strategy going forward. So right now we're just I don't you feel free to interject, but I think right now we want to be open and available, and in the meantime we're trying to be as cash ready as possible for that next opportunity.
I think that's 100% right. Um, so how, so right now you and Mike are going through your own things, right? You kind of have your own lanes in your business,
Right.
even though they're still on the same highway, but you guys are still doing your own thing, right?
Yeah.
So how do you lift each other up in times of challenge?
Feel like we've been learning to do that. We've had a lot more practice lately. I think that it's easy to get into overwhelm. And right now, we're both kind of in this grind phase, and we haven't been in there for a few years now, which has been amazing. But now we're in that grind and build phase.
Yeah.
And I think it's tough to go back to that phase from entrepreneurial phase to business phase. But there is such a potential, and I think that's kind of a driving factor for where we can go, and that we both see that. And the motivation, how do we balance each other and keep each other up? Well, sometimes that means covering for each other on different things, whether it's home life or errands or things like that, and just dividing and conquering. Sometimes it looks like that, and sometimes it's just like honestly a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get us like back to regulation.
What is a piece of advice that you would have for other couples that are looking to either get started working together,
Hmm.
right? Or just growing?
Have a successful relationship. Yeah. I think communication. Communication, I mean, you've heard that, but communication is so key. There are going to be things that come up that you don't want to discuss, but if it's not on the table, you can't expect the other person to know. And at least you have the opportunity to get on the same page. It's kind of like those rom-com movies where you see the scene happening and you just like want them to tell the truth. So just tell the truth. Get it out there and have the cards fall where they may. And then you have something to work on.
Right, right. That reminds me, like the other day we were playing, what was that? What was that?
Monopoly? Oh, Secret Hitler.
Secret Hitler. Yes. I don't know if anyone's ever played that out there, but like if you've played Secret Hitler,
That's
you know
a
that
crazy game.
one of the things is you got to be lying like all the time.
Yeah.
And we are terrible liars. And so like
I am
I
good
didn't
at
know
lying.
what to do. No, you're not. See, that was a bad lie. So we don't lie. And that's why we were really not very good at that game, but everyone thought we were lying.
That's
We
true.
don't know how to lie. And so I think that is one of the strengths in our relationship is that we've always been open and honest. All cards are on the table and our communication is an open book.
Yep.
Right?
Sometimes there's too much truth telling, but the truth is out there.
All right, let's lighten this up a little bit. All right, humor me if you will.
Okay.
Okay. Let's imagine you are stuck on a desert island. Nobody around. It's just you and your Spotify playlist. Okay. Now, on that playlist, here's the twist. You can only choose to have 3 artists and 3 podcasts. All right. Who's making the list?
Mel Robbins, thank you so much. Ed Milet and How I Built This by Guy Raz. And as far as songs, not great with titles or artist names, but I would probably choose Michael Franti, Forrest Frank. That's a Nico favorite right now. And Jack Johnson.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like the island vibes there.
Yeah.
I don't know Forrest Frank.
You do.
Do I?
Yes.
Okay.
Desert Island.
Well, I know Michael Franti and I know Jack Johnson. I would love to have them both on the podcast.
We should.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yes. Michael Franti and Sarah. I did put it on the on our list.
Yes, they would be amazing.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's say tomorrow morning you wake up
Yes.
and you get a knock on the door and it's the postal service. And they come and they make you sign for a package and it's this great big silver suitcase. And you bring it inside, you strap it on the kitchen counter, open that thing up, and it's a load of cash, $1 million in cash. Okay, there's no return address.
Yeah.
There's nothing. What do you do with that $1 million?
Well, normally I would have said book a trip to Thailand, but right now Nico really wants to go to Japan and I want to make that happen. And a different experience again with a child, which is super cool. So I would say book trip to Japan, Hokkaido to go skiing, and put the rest into a high yield savings until I figure out what to do.
Love that. Right.
Can we just pretend we got the suitcase?
Yeah.
Okay,
just book it.
great.
Awesome. I love that. Good answer. All right. Well, we should probably get ready to start closing this out. But before we do that, what advice would you give to a young woman just starting to find her way?
To set your standards high and to not compromise them for anyone else.
Nice. What is one thing that you're really excited about right now?
I'm excited about the potential of Lady Aloha. There is a lot of work to be done, but I'm super excited. And I'm super excited about the Our Family Invest podcast. I'm so excited to bring couples that inspire us, that have the opportunity to inspire other people, that lifestyle and success in all realms is possible.
Yeah.
And how a lot of these people have personally impacted us.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's great to be able to share that with other people.
I love that. Me too. Super
Yeah.
excited for that.
Yeah.
All right, Caroline, one last thing. If people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way?
Instagram at Lady Aloha, REI, and at Our Family Invest.
I love it.
Yeah.
Caroline, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super, super excited and super grateful that you were here. And I
Thank
think
you
this
for
was an
having me.
amazing podcast. And let's do it again.
Okay,
But
sounds
first,
good.
let's book a trip to Japan.
I love it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for being part of the family today. If you want to see more of our journey through our personal life, businesses, and adventures, give us a follow on Instagram at Our Family Invest.
If you like this podcast, share this episode with a friend. And if you really want to support us, we would be so grateful if you would leave us a review on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Your review helps us to reach a bigger audience and bring on more amazing guests. Thank you so much. We really, truly appreciate you.